So this is my fourth day here at Sanctuary. I I I just still can't comprehend. I don't understand it. It's like I have been trying to struggle with this for years. I don't understand how Tom King can write such a masterpiece like Superman Up in the Sky. But then he writes this. What is this? What is this? And welcome back, everyone. We are back here for the Flash Reading Order, episode 13. So, you're probably wondering, why are we looking at the back of the omnibus? Well, so this is The Flash by Joshua Williamson, Omnibus Volume 2. I decided to put the back cover because I felt like the front cover is a little bit spoilerish and gives away something that I really want to show off when we actually get to the actual nook and cranny of the book. So I don't want to show it off right here and now. But we do have some unfortunate news, folks. This will be the last Omni that will be covered in the series. Joshua Williamson Volume 3 will not be out till later in the summer as of this recording, as well as the next two writers. Their runs have not been announced for any omnibus yet. So yeah, this will be the last Omni. So say goodbye to the Omni format in the Flash Reading Order. And we enjoyed it while we can. But yep, next episode for Williamson Volume 3, we'll be doing trades, and we'll be doing trades for the rest of the series. But yeah, so today we are going to talk about Flash by Joshua Williamson Volume 2, which collects The Flash 36 through 69, Annuals 1 through 2, and Batman 64 through 65. Yes, we have another Batman crossover. The reason we have a Batman crossover is because it relates to the bonus book we're going to be talking about today. That's gonna be fun. But anyway, guys, let's crack open this book, and for now we will deal with the Joshua Williamson Omni. All right, so we got it open, and yeah, the front again, the interior is kind of spoilerish too, so I don't want to give that away either. I think it's a cool moment that I think I'd rather show off when we get to it. But anyway, yeah, so this is Flash by Joshua Williamson Volume 2. That's his signature. He signed that for me as well as he did Volume 1. Right. All right, let's get started. So, if you remember last we left off, where we left off where there has been a murder in Iron Heights, and Barry has to get called to figure out what's going on. But this is interesting, too, because this shows a sequence of Flash, Barry solving all these like different mysteries, talking about how much he loved solving a mystery, going for different ones, including like the mystery of the murdered Martian, the disappearance of the Daily Planet, a study in black, the Hounds of Apocalypse. You got that beautiful Howard Porter artwork right there. So what we do find out is the person who got murdered is actually Turbine, who was back in the New 52 era, back in the Francis Manapul run. He's been murdered. We don't know why yet, but we're going to find out. Kind of a sad way for that character to go. I feel like they could have had more potential with him. Very Wally stopping a bank robbery. And as we can see here too, there are some shenanigans going on with the rogues. Yes, we're dealing with a rogue story. As I mentioned in the last episode, Captain Cold has now taken over Iron Heights underground in the underground part of the prison. And he is running a criminal empire through Iron Heights, which is insane. This was his big plan all along. This was considered to be his big score. And one of the big revelations we get in this issue is we get August supposedly saying that he could give them the Flash. This story is called Cold Day in Hell. I'm not going to go over everything in the story because we have a lot to talk about. We're really going to dive deep into some stuff today. Actually, one thing that is interesting about this arc I do like is that it has a lot of different artists, and a lot of artists that do come back, specifically Scott Kolins. If you remember Scott Kolins was the artist for most of the Jeff Johns Volume 1 Omnibus. So we got him back, which is really cool. And I gotta say, it's really cool to see him draw Barry. Scott Kolins will appear frequently in this run as well. Like I said, this run, the thing that I love about this run so much is that it feels like it's almost going for like a history of the Flash where there's just so many references and callbacks, as well as having like returning artists. It's really, really cool. I just want to go back for a second. So Barry ends up being in this like one fight with Captain Coley gets trapped, where they're in this like room where the temperature is absolute zero. So basically, Flash has like no chance, and Cold is kicking his ass. It's kind of like if you put like Superman in like a room with red sunlights. Yeah. And then we find out that that August was actually pretending to be a side agent for the Rogues. Like, we find out that he actually turns off the dampers and gives Barry the heat so he can like come back and kick the Rogues' ass. Yeah, August likes to play the whole like what's the word I'm looking for? The double agent, the guy who's like, oh, you think I'm like a jerk, but no, really, I am on your side. The only problem is, of course, he doesn't let Barry in on that. And of course, at the end of the story does end where Barry tries to make amends with Iris. But before we get into that, we have this cool story from Flash Annual #1, which we get a little bit of Wally. We get some Wally action here. Get to see the three Flashes team up as they take down the top. But then we get this moment where Barry and Wally are talking to each other, and one of the things that is going on is Iris is still not aware of Wally's existence, and Wally is purposely keeping it that way, even though he is like giving her flowers and kind of like sending her like little notes and stuff, which is weird. It's like he's kind of keeping contact with her, but not. And Barry's basically like, this is dumb. Can you like not do this anymore? And Wally like freaks out about it. Like, Barry and Wally are gonna have some tension in this part of the run, and it's gonna lead into a really big story. A certain war. But yeah, from that, Wally goes off on his own because Wally's got a lot going on. Because as we talked about in the last episode, Wally's basically trying to like restart his life because his whole life was like erased. Everything changed thanks to like Dr. Manhattan and New 52 and all that stuff. He ends up being reunited with one of his ex-girlfriends, Frankie Magenta. If you remember her, we talked about her a bit in John's Wally run. And yeah, it does end here, where he does get his own apartment, starts his own life. He says, I was mad at Barry before because he was right. I was standing still. I needed to rebuild. But moving on doesn't mean I can't look back at where I've been and celebrate it. It might not be the summer, but I think I need to pay Central City a visit. Barry was right. It's time. Time to run right through the roadblocks in my life. Rebuild my memories. Good or bad, and I know Iris will help with that. And it also ends where it says, "And it's time I finally got the answers I've been missing." And after that, we jump to the next big arc, which is Perfect Storm. Sorry, went blank there for a sec. Perfect Storm, which is a big Gorilla Grodd arc. And if you remember, one thing I want to point out too, which is pretty cool, is that this issue here, even though we have been the issues have been renumbered again, because this is considered Volume 5 of the Flash, this is technically actually the 700 issue of the Flash. So a pretty cool way to start this arc. And I believe this will be the last arc for the artist Carmine Di Giandomingo. I can't pronounce his last name, I apologize. He did most of the art for like the first half of the run, but yeah, I think this is kind of his farewell. I think he comes back here and there, but I think this is his last major arc. So yeah, Barry and Iris like talk for a bit, and one of the things that she mentions that she's willing to give Barry a second chance is that now that she knows that he is the Flash, she wants to know specifically what the Flash's life is like. Like, she wants to know, like, is it you, Barry, or is it like another person? And Barry does take her around and talks about his life as the Flash. Show what it's like to be like a hero. Basically, just to understand. Basically, her whole thing is that, like, if I'm going to dive into a relationship like this, knowing that you're a superhero, I need to know what that life is like. So Barry decides to do that. And also we get, forgive me, I forgot to mention this character in the last episode. This is Avery Ho. She was actually one of the people that was affected by the Speed Force storm, the lightning storm that happened in the Godspeed arc. She actually, where she went though, is that she actually went to become the Flash of China. Yeah, there's an entire Justice League, Chinese Justice League in this book called New Superman, which dealt with the Chinese Superman. And she basically was the Chinese representation of the Flash, which was pretty cool. And she showed up here and there in this book as well. And as Barry and Iris are starting to get a little closer, Iris suddenly freezes and all time freezes, and Barry's like, what's going on? Including this cool moment I like too, where you actually get to see him like move the raindrops. Perhaps because the raindrops are frozen. And this is where we find out, where we see the group Black Hole, we see Mina, we see Rajan. And who's been responsible for this group that's been terrorizing Flash for most of this run? None other than one of his main archenemies, Gorilla Grodd. And what does he want? He wants the Speed Force, of course. Not only does he want the Speed Force, but one thing that's kind of cool and interesting about the story is that he really messes with Barry mentally. Like, he goes through this whole thing where at one point he ends up taking, Barry ends up losing his abilities. And one of the things that Grodd is like going through his head and basically telling him that's like, oh, you're useless, you're nothing, like without this life as a Flash, without powers, you're just a nobody. And now the world know the real hero you are. without your powers. Grodd grabs him. This is almost kind of like Barry's like Nightfall moment here. Your city and your Speed Force belong to me, Barry Allen. But I must admit, I was wrong. You are not nothing. You are less than nothing. You are just human. And spits in his face and throws him down to the ground. And you think it's like, oh shit, well, Barry's got no powers. He's about to fall. He's about to die. Nope. Wally catches him. And Barry says, you know what? I'm not the Flash anymore. Wally, you are now. And I remember at the time, this was probably big tease, and all the Wally fans were like, oh my god, yes! It's like, no. Wally will get his time back in the spotlight, but not yet. And Barry's going through these experiments, trying to figure out a way to, like, regain his powers, because a lot of the things that, like, Grodd said to him really does affect Barry, and it kind of really does get to him. And you see him kind of, like, snap at, like, some of the other heroes, like Wallace and Avery. And Wally's trying to calm him down. Wally's like, Barry, they're just trying to help, man. And Barry's still going through this, how, again, the whole crux, the whole run of this arc is Barry just having to accept that, like, it can't be all on him. Like, it can't be all on him by himself. There are other Flashes, there are other people who can help him, and accepting family. And Barry's now getting more desperate because, again, he really does believe what Grodd said, that he feels like that he is completely useless without his powers. And it's cool because showing the character development with Barry later on is there's going to be another instance later on where Barry's going to lose his powers, but he's going to be a little more accepting of it. But we'll get there. But one of the things that Barry does, being that he is so desperate to get his powers back, is that he releases August from prison. He releases Godspeed to help him out. He doesn't trust Avery and Wally or Wallace, but for some reason he trusts enough August. Even August at moments is like, Barry, like, you're not yourself. Like, this is wrong. I mean, he's accepting of it, but he's also like, yeah, this is not you. I always thought this image was funny, too, because it's like, you get all of them, and you just see Barry with, like, the leather jacket and, like, the lightning rod that he's going to use, and for some reason, it looks like Barry's ready to, like, jack a car or something. Like, I don't know, I always just found that pose funny. He's like, let's do this. But yeah, the reason why he has that lightning rod is because he's going to use it to plant it in Grodd's machine that's, like, giving, like, this, like, Speed Force. That basically what is making the city freeze. Barry's going to put the lightning rod in it to reverse it, and he assumes also will get back his powers. The problem is, though, is that that's exactly what Grodd wants. So yeah, Barry gets his powers back. That's the good news. The bad news is that because it gave Grodd all this Speed Force energy, he now has used it to control all of Barry's friends. Eventually, some of them do snap out of it. Wally first, of course. It is cool that we do get Wally in the book here. We finally see Barry and Wally team up a bit. It's very rare we get both of them in, like, a book together like this. I really do like that. That's one of the things I appreciate Williamson's runs. I love that. Like, even though it's mainly a Barry book, Wally gets his time. They eventually do take down Grodd. I love this image. I love this cover. This cover's badass. I love this cover. But yeah, this is the finale of Perfect Storm. They eventually do take down Grodd. By working together, getting Mita back as well. And we get this cool moment. This is kind of like, I almost like to call it the splash page from Flash Rebirth 2.0. I think the first one's better with the actual Flash family. For this iteration that we have, I think it's pretty cool too. And like I said, you got Godspeed there now, because he is kind of part of the family. He's the Jason Todd. And you got Mita there, Mita's back. But yeah, the story does end. Go into this a little bit in a second, but so Perfect Storm does end, and we get this issue where Wally does finally decide to confess himself to Iris, or make his existence known to Iris. And we get this great moment where Wally, Barry, and Iris are continuing their conversation from before Perfect Storm, where they're talking more about why to be together and knowing about the life of the Flash. And we get this cool moment where Iris sees that the I don't know what they're called, the horns on the side of the Flash cowl shows a radio receiver of how he could hear the cops bandwagon when he knows there's trouble, and also helps him hear while he's running, because obviously if he was just running without that, he wouldn't be able to hear because there's no sound. He's going faster than the speed of sound. And we do find out that inadvertently he's actually listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson, because Barry's such a nerd. You are such a nerd, Barry Allen. And they kiss, and they're finally back together. For now, we'll leave it at that. And then we get this moment where Wally does finally confess himself to Iris. Iris somehow does remember him. Some of the memories come back. That's a big thing that goes on a lot too, is a lot of this is them getting their memories back from the stuff that happened in New 52. A lot of retconning. And now while he gets some of his memories back to it, he's starting to remember everything. But meanwhile, though, we do get this one segment where we are in the 25th century, and we're at the Flash Museum, and we actually run into our old friends, the Renegades, if you remember them from back in Johnson's third volume, third Omni. It's the Renegades, the Rogues of the Future, if you remember them. They're still doing their job as time cops, and they do notice that something is going on, though in the Flash Museum, specifically in the Wally West wing. One of the things that they do find out is there has been a murder. Reverse Flash was killed, as you all saw. They actually find the weapon that Iris used to kill Reverse Flash, and now they're going to go get Iris and put her on trial. The judge has told them to do this. And if you remember a while back, I mentioned the judge is going to be important, even way back, when I mentioned in Volume 3, he's going to be way important when he was introduced. We find out that this judge is a familiar face. This is exactly the kind of mission we created you for. And of course, to mock the Rogues. After all these years, all the tragedy I suffered, the depths I let it drag me down to, I can finally prove that only by surviving it does make one stronger. I recreated myself again to help the Flash and in turn the future. I would do anything to make the one true Flash into the hero we need. All it took was being trapped in the 25th century to figure out what that would entail. Zoom will make the Flashes go to war. And this is the prelude to Flash War, with the return of Hunter Zolomon. So Hunter is back. So we get to see exactly what happened to Hunter where we last left him back at Flash Rebirth-09, which again, I loved. And I remember when I first met Joshua Williamson, I told him, thank you so much for resolving this. I've always wondered, like, what would happen with these two trying to team up. The two being Hunter and Fawn. But while all that is going on, while we get these flashbacks, we have Wally. Wally's still freaking out about seeing all these memories and all these visions and all this stuff coming back to him. And Barry tried to help him out. Barry decides to go to Batman and help him out because they think maybe it might have something to do with the button case. I love this moment where he gets, like, pissed and, like, he, like, punches, like, the bat screen. And Alfred's just like, Mr. Allen, I understand that after the Poison Ivy incident, you might desire some level of payback on Master Wayne. But I hardly think. How does he do it, Alfred? I'm sorry, sir. I'm not going to read the whole dialogue, but yeah, I do love that moment with Alfred. And Barry does, of course, like, he does the super speed, replace the screen, and apologizes. But yeah, it is kind of sad here. There's actually this really sad moment with Wally where he goes to the Flash Museum and remembers certain things, and then Barry sees, Barry finds him. He goes, the Flash Museum just always made me feel safe. Wally, there is no Flash Museum. Not yet. Not for a long time. So yeah, the Flash Museum hasn't been created yet. It will be in the middle of this run, but it hasn't been created yet. So yeah, but also to get more to the background, Fawn and Hunter do team up for a bit, and then Fawn decides, you know what, I just want to do my own thing, and he ends up leaving Hunter in the 25th century. So that's where Hunter is left and devises this whole plan where he becomes like the judge, he ends up making the renegades, and he decides one of the biggest things that they do. And of course, his MO is always like, wanting to make the heroes better. They deserve nothing. If the Flashes refuse to see the road to be a better hero, then I will take them down a road to war. And now this is the biggest story, probably the biggest story of this run. Not my personal favorite story. I mean, I do like it, but it's probably the story that this run's most known for. This is Flash War. And we get this moment in the beginning where we get this, like, flash forward. Where Wally says, we need to save them. But if you don't run with me now, I will make sure you never run again. I remember at the time reading that, I'm like, fuck you, Wally. But yeah, so we do start back in the yeah, as it says here, 47 minutes and 18 seconds earlier. So it's one of those, like, how did we get here? Let's go back. And Wally and Barry end up saving the day. At one point, they stop this, like, tsunami or whatever, and they get into an argument about how it could have been done, how each of them differently could have done it, and Iris is trying to play, like, peacekeeper between the two of them. So there is some kind of tension brewing with Barry and Wally. And Zoom basically in this story is gonna, like, expose that tension and lead into a lot of crazy stuff. So now we have here where the Renegades show up. They're here to take Iris. Wally loses his mind. And then we get this cool point where, we get this cool fight scene where, the Golden Glider version of the Renegades, she has a Sinestro ring. So she's able to make these constructs of all the different all the different reverse flashes. So you actually get to see a construct of Fawn, Zoom, and you get the New 52 Daniel West version. And eventually we get everything settled down, and everyone does decide to go to the 25th century to deal with this. And see if there's a way that they could help Wally with his visions, as well as figuring out what the deal is with Iris. The difference, though, is that everyone got teleported to the same location except for Wally. Wally's in this room specifically. He is in the Wally West wing, where he gets to see old hologram statues of Impulse and Max Mercury. And of course he sees a picture of him, Linda, and Jay and Irie. And runs into Hunter Solomon. My name is Hunter Solomon, but you can call me Zoom. And together, we're gonna save your children. So we get this flashback where now Wally is actually... Because Wally still didn't remember fully everything from when he came back, and this is what's been going on. He's been getting all these visions from, some of the chaotic stuff with the Speed Force and, other stuff that's been happening. And it's been happening all throughout DC Universe and Rebirth, specifically with the Flash family. And at this point, Wally didn't know Hunter until he does punch him in the face, and then he gets all those memories back. Even reference Bliss. You tried to kill Linda to teach me a lesson about tragedy. You took our kids from us. We got them back, but I'm not here to fight. And while all that is going on, the Renegades are dealing with the trial, basically trying to prove Iris' innocence, to say that it was self-defense. Defense about her killing Fawn, but anyway, that's kind of just here and there. It's just a way to get them all here to the 25th century. And Wally shows up and he mentions the kids. Iris mentions that she remembers them as well. And now Wally's just held it. His whole thing is that Zoom basically tells him that to get Jay and Irie back, they have to go to the Speed Force, and basically he has to destroy the Speed Force to get them out. Wally is I'm gonna do that, because Wally's hot-headed. He's always impulsive. He's I'm gonna do that. That's the end of that. No matter what, I'm done. But of course, one of the biggest problems is that while all that's going on, while so basically Wally goes back to the present. Barry follows him. He leaves Iris and Wallace with Commander Cold. But one of the things that happens is that when they go back to the present, as this is going on, time is being erased around them in the future. So as of right now, we don't know what's going to happen with Commander Cold, Iris, and Wallace. But anyway, Barry and Wally start their big their fight/argument. That's really what it is. It's not really so much of a fight; it's more of an argument. And also because this is the Flash, it's a race. And I love this moment where we get this moment where... Because we flash back to it earlier in the issue. And we get this moment where Barry goes, if you run, I will catch you. You remember what happened the first time we actually raced Barry? And Barry's and Wally just looks pissed off because he doesn't remember it at all. Which is, of course, that Wally did beat him. Barry's like, Wally, stop! And that's what starts this race. And so, but these guys are going, they're basically going at, like, they're, like, max speed right now. And because of this, it is causing all this, like, damage around the world. So, like, Amanda Waller and everyone in Argus is like, what is happening? Like everyone in the DC Universe is like, what is going on? There's even, like, this great moment where Superman tries to chase them, and he has no shot. He has no chance of catching up with them. And, of course, since this is the Flash War, I'm completely on Barry's side here. I get Wally's whole thing that he wants to get the kids back, but he is acting completely reckless, even at one point here, where Hal makes his contract cut to try to stop them. Wally, like, runs right through it, nearly kills Hal. Barry catches him and saves him. And mentioned, like, Hal's our friend. You just put him in danger. You didn't even slow down. And Wally's excuse is, I knew you'd be there to save him. You're there to save everyone, which is why I don't understand why you won't help me save my family now. And one of the other things that happens that they confess about is Barry confesses about the mystery of the button and investigate it with Batman. And Wally's like, why wouldn't you fill me in on that? We're gonna get answers to why he didn't fill him in on that near the end of the run, but yeah. But yeah, they end up going so fast, they now are eventually going into the Speed Force, or at least trying to stop themselves. They try going in, and then boom, this big explosion happens. And we don't know what happened. And then we look up in the sky, and I think Barry says it perfectly. I think we broke the Speed Force. But where are they? Where are Irie and Jay? Hunter said, bro, who are Irie and Jay? That's Roy. And what we find out is that they didn't break the Speed Force. They broke the Force barrier. This was Zoom's plan all along. We actually find out that there are more forces outside of the Speed Force. There's the Sage Force and the Straight Force. And these forces have now been unleashed, and Zoom is going to take full potential of them. And for some reason, he's in Barry's original Silver Age suit, and he's going to wear this for the rest of the run. It's cool. I don't know why he's doing it, but whatever. But also, like, I will show here. This is the cover of the book. This is why I didn't want to show it off, because I felt like it was too spoilery to see, like, Hunter and all that, so I didn't want to show it off. So yeah, so now the fight between Barry and Wally is over, and the two of them now have to, like, stop Hunter. It's such a cool story. I love this story so much. And we do find out what's been going on with Wallace Commander called Iris. Wallace was able to use some of his, like, speed to, like, keep him at, like, a certain point in the timeline. And I love this moment, too, where they're running into the Speed Force following Zoom. Because Zoom's whole thing is he just wants, like, full power now and all that. And we get this cool moment where we get to see all these brief images from, like, different Flash comics. Like, we get the Ring falling, we get Crisis on Infinite Earths, get Flash Rebirth. Yeah, it's really cool to see all this, like, past Flash history. But one of the things that is cool about this race is that Barry does give Wally his shine, and Barry does admit that Wally is faster than him, and basically motivates Wally to take down Zoom. This is the dialogue that I love. Of course I remember Wally. Oh, yeah. How are we even going to catch up to Hunter? I'm running as fast as I can, and I'm barely keeping up with him. You asked me if I remembered the first time we raced, but I never answered you. Of course I remember Wally. I know I've forgotten a lot of things, but how could I ever forget that? I was always so lost in the science of the Speed Force that I missed out on having fun and just cutting loose. But you always knew how to enjoy the speed, and that day we raced, that was how you won. And now you need to remember, you're Wally West, and you're the fastest man alive. And this is what gets Wally a boost. He ends up catching up with Hunter, and we get this awesome panel where the two of them are colliding, and in the back we see the cover from Blitz. It's I'm probably a little hard to see on camera, but yeah, that's basically what you get, and it's really cool. You told me once that I thank you someday, and you were right. You helped me remember everyone in my life, the people who made me me. Every adventure I ever had, every win and every loss, every single lesson I learned in my time as a Flash. So thank you for reminding me, Hunter, that I didn't run alone for the Speed Force. My family runs with me. And I wanted to hide this image as well. This is the wraparound interior cover. We get to see all these images of Wally's family taking down Hunter. But when everything does end and they take down Hunter for now, Hunter will be back, but they take him down for now. But one of the things that they do find out is because of all the damage that they've done with the Speed Force and unleashing the forces, the Flashes can now no longer time travel. They can't time travel willy-nilly right now. Not even with a cosmic treadmill. Or I think they can use the cosmic treadmill, but yeah, they can't do it themselves. So, and Wally is of course still on the hunt to try to find Irene and Jay, because he still believes they are trapped in the Speed Force somehow. Which is true, because that's basically where everyone is. But yeah, it is kind of like a bittersweet ending. But one of the good things that we do get is someone does get out of Speed Force. Bart! And he comes back for a bit. We won't see him again for a while, but Bart is now back. And it's the real Bart, not that Bart tour thing in New 52. And the book does end where we get this tease back in the 25th century of this creature getting released from prison. And we'll find out about that later on. We'll find out about that in the next episode. The next issue we have this nice issue where Iris is trying to sit out for Wally, trying to find him or waiting for him to come back while Wally's just running around the world trying to figure out ways to time travel. And we get this really nice issue where Iris is basically writing up this story about Wally West. She's basically now doing where before when she did Life Story of Barry Allen, she's now doing it for Wally. So it's a really cool, nice, basically this issue is basically a love letter to Wally West fans. And it's really nice. It's really cool. I love it. But the issue does end, though, where they decide Wally does need some help. And conveniently, while this is going on, the other heroes in the DC Universe had decided that some heroes might possibly need some therapy. And maybe need a place to go to help out with stuff like that. And Wally has been one of the candidates now because everything that's been going on with him, it's been a lot. So they decide to make this place called Sanctuary. This is where Wally's going to go. And the series does end, or not series, but the issue does end, where we get to see the Flash Museum be constructed. But okay. Before we go back more into Joshua Williamson Volume 2, let's go into that bonus book and see what exactly Wally does in Sanctuary. God help us. So this is Heroes in Crisis, written by Tom King, with beautiful art by Clay Mann, but written by Tom King. I hate this book. And most Flash fans hate this book. Actually, most DC fans just hate this book. I'll tell you this much of how bad this book is. This book is so retconned to the point where it basically doesn't even matter anymore because that's how bad this book is. But we'll just get into it real quick. So, the heroes are in this place called Sanctuary, where it's kind of like, like I said, it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's like a nut house, but it is kind of like a place for people to go that need life therapy and need to be on their own. Kind of like a safe away. And one of the things that they do is that they record these confessionals that kind of act as like their therapy sessions. And what we do find out is there's been a murder that happens here. And we do find out one of the people that have been killed is Wally West. I'm not going to go over this whole thing. I'm just going to get through this as quickly as I can. But yeah, we get this moment where Booster does tell Barry about Wally, and Barry loses his mind. This is actually in the Williamson Flash issues as well. Yeah. This is Wally in his room. Alright, so I'm just going to cut to the chase. Basically what happens is we find out these murders have been committed, and the main suspects are Booster Gold and Harley Quinn. Booster and Harley did neither one. They don't do the murders. The person who does end up doing the murders is Wally West. Wally at one point has a freak out where he unleashes this like surge of power and ends up accidentally killing all the heroes. Which, fine. Accident, fine. But then from that he decides to cover the murders up, frame Harley and Booster, and fake his own death. And also, I hate this too. I hate this. Hate it. That they recreated this image from DC Rebirth. Where Wally's whole thing is like, oh, like, I'm supposed to be Hope? But Barry, where's my family? Ugh. But the good news is that a lot of Flash writers, including Williamson himself, are going to retcon this crap. I'm not going to get into too much detail of how Wally does what he does. But yeah, he basically makes like a time remnant of himself to fake the death. And also at one point he accidentally He doesn't accidentally. He actually exposes all the video confessionals to the world. Like, he gives those files out and releases them to the public. Yeah, this is just so bad. This is like a complete character assassination of Wally West. Like, I'll put it to you this way. I took this book out of the library because I refused to own this book. How much I hate this book. This is like completely disgusting. It is revolting. It is probably the worst comic book I ever read in my life. But yeah, that's Wally's status for now. And we'll get back more into what Wally does after this. But because of this, yeah, Wally ends up getting arrested. And he's in jail. And we'll check in with Wally in the next episode. But yeah. That's Heroes in Crisis. Fuck this book. Anyway, back to the happy book. So now we continue Williamson's run, and I'm going to skip through some of this quick. We get these, 2 mini arcs that actually introduce the concepts of the new forces, the Straight Force and the Sage Force. And deals with each of the different rogues. We got the Straight Force stuff that deals with Trickster, which is pretty cool. You get to see Trickster all, hulked up and stuff. Is really cool. And actually, one of the things that does happen, too, is Commander Cold, from the 25th century, because of the whole time stream thing, he's now stuck in the present. So he basically becomes, an ally for Flash and Iris, which is, really cool. Yeah, you get to see Iris investigate what's going on with the forces as well. And she's also finding out more memories about them. Specifically, she keeps getting images of her and Barry's wedding from back in the Silver Age. So yeah, even at one point, the Straight Force does affect Barry, and now we get Barry, we get Hulk Barry, which is, pretty cool. But one of the other things that is important that we find out that happens at the end of this little arc is we find out that someone else is planning a takeover of Central City. James Jesse is back. This is the first time the original Trickster's been back since Johns' run. And then this is the next little arc that deals with the Sage Force, and this deals with Heat Wave. Pretty cool arc, deals with some of his memories and lots. Because I always thought Heat Wave was such an interesting character that he constantly goes back to why to be redeemed, and then does it. He's kind of like a victim in a way, because at the end of the day, he's just he's a pyromaniac. It's he's addicted to fire, and he can't control that. Did he want to burn his house down and kill his parents? No, but he was just so entranced by the fire. So yeah, we get into some of that. Because like I said, I want to speed this up just a little bit. But for all that, one of the things that does happen is Barry ends up going to... he ends up going to this, council of, all these, other Flashes from different parts of the multiverse, which is really cool. And they basically tell him that to discover more about the Speed Force and the Forces, that he should go on something called a Force Quest. And one of the things that's cool is Iris decides to go with him. And the two of them go off and go away from Central City, because one of the things that happens in this run, too, is this is more about Barry also kind of getting out of his comfort zone for a bit. Getting out of Central City, which is one of the things that they deal with in Force Quest. Which is really cool. I honestly love Force Quest. This is one of my favorite stories in probably all of the Flash. And I love it in this run. And one of the things that really does bother me, though, is that they tried doing the Forces on the show, and they butchered them horribly. They did, I'm not going to go too much into it, but do not let the show judge you away from this story. Read the story for yourself, and please check it out, because I think it is a really, really good story, and especially I like seeing Barry out of his element and being excited about, being a student again was one thing I think he referred to, because he's always been a teacher, so it's it's kind of cool for him to be a student again and relearn some of the stuff about the Speed Force as well as the other forces. And we get some of these new characters introduced. Where's she at? There we go. Fueza, who's become basically an avatar of the Straight Force. Barry meets her and gets to learn more about her and the Straight Force. And this is cool too. This is actually a pretty big moment, I think, in the run where Barry flat out gives out his identity. He's always been so safeguarded about his identity, especially earlier in the run. Now he's just flat out being I'm Barry Allen. And even Iris is well, what the hell are you doing? Again, such cool character development. And one of the things that goes on, too, is we get this thing where the cop that's trying to, like, take down Fraser uses this mysterious weapon that's powered by some of the forces. Powered by the Sage Force, but it looks a little bit like a toy. What's that about? But yeah, after he helps out with Fraser, they end up going to this, where'd they go? So they go to this other place where they have to find the avatar of the Sage Force. And they go to this place called Zendaya, which is basically like this place where all the villains hang out to like get away. So it's actually pretty cool. Like, so they're like, dude, if you show up just as the Flash, they're all gonna freak out. So Barry and Iris like disguise themselves as these other villains, and this is where they meet Sage or Psyche, aka the avatar of the Sage Force. Fraser was kind of helpful. Psyche, not so much. Psyche does help him out a bit, but he also has his own ulterior motives. Meanwhile, while all that's going on too, we also get Commander Cold, aka Henry, who yes, that's the same name as Flash's dad, as Barry's dad. He ends up hooking up with one of Barry's co-workers, Kristen, and they are discovering this mystery, more of the mystery of what's going on with Trickster. Because of course, now that Flash is out of the city, Trickster can now go more fully into his plan. Sorry, I'm like rushing through some of this. But the story does end where we find out more that like Zoom is taking down like other people to get more Speed Force energy, more Force energy. So Zoom is still around. It's just a matter of like Barry trying to find him. And yes, we get the moment here at Heroes of Crisis where Bruce Girl tells Barry about Wally, and this story that is so great ends with Barry finding Wally's dead body. So now this acts more as like tie-in material for Heroes in Crisis. We get this really sad moment where Barry like tries to go into the Speed Force to try and get Wally out, thinking he's there. We find out he's not. Bart shows up here as well, but Bart is, for now, going to go into Bendis' Young Justice book, so we won't see him for a bit. We also do find out what August has been up to. August has been working with someone else. But before we get to that, we get this, like, really, really sad moment. Like, admittedly, I do like some of this emotional stuff where Barry has to tell Iris that, like, that Wally is dead. And there, you get this moment where he's just freezing the moment himself before he could tell Iris. And Iris just, like, breaks down. It's all because of that damn Tom King. But yeah, it does end where Godspeed goes to the person he's working with, which again we'll find out his identity in the next episode. He's the one that got released from that prison at the end of Flash War. I'll just say that. And then we go into this crossover with Batman, which again acts as more tie-in material for Heroes of Crisis. I'm not going to go too much into it. But actually, though, there is this great moment where you actually find out. So if you're aware of Tom King's Batman run, there was at one point where Batman and Catwoman were going to get married, and of course, like, she walked out because Tom King. But one of the things you do find out is that, of course, Barry being always so absent-minded and unaware of stuff, there's this moment where he talks about Batman. He says, Speaking of break-ins, how's married life with Selena? The honeymoon over yet? And Batman's like, you don't know? and then Barry's just like, hold on, I'm getting a call. Iris, everything okay? Like, you just find out that, like, Barry's just so, like, unaware sometimes. I love it. Yeah, Gotham Girl comes back. She's from Comic King's Batman run. Like, yeah, this is just some weird tie-in. Like, the button this is not. This is called The Price, by the way. I do love this shot, though. I do love this shot with Barry Batman. Barry basically say, I could hit you 100 times before you throw one punch. Yeah, they have, like, a big scuffle. Because Barry's basically, he blames Batman and all of them for Sanctuary and what happened there. But after that, we'll deal with the last arc here, which is the Trickster arc, which is all done by Scott Collins, which is really cool. And one of the things that's cool about this that I love is we get a return of the Rogue origin issues from the Jeff Johns run. And in the same style with Scott Collins doing art, we get one for James Jesse, which I think is really, really cool. And I like that Joshua Williamson brought these issues back. He doesn't do it for a lot of them, but he does do it at least for Trickster, which is really, really cool. I like that we get this whole issue for him before we get into the actual nitty-gritty of his story. So we do find out that, like, Trickster has been working on the side in the underground while Flash has been gone. And we get this, like, weird thing that's going on in Central City where everyone's just happy, including Warren Wolf. And we don't know what's going on. And also one of the things that's been hinted for a while in this run is Kristen, Barry's partner, has this boyfriend that we don't know about. She keeps mentioning him, but we've never seen him, never met him. And then we get this moment where he goes, there he is, Barry Allen. This is my boyfriend, James Jesse. Yes. James is mind controlling her. Basically, James is somehow mind controlled all of Central City to be, like, happy and serving it to him. And we also get this little cool cameo by not Savitar, by Cicada. Yeah, see, everyone, happy! Barry's like, what is going on? This story, by the way, is called The Greatest Trick of Them All. Really, really do like that. Oh, also another thing I should point out too is that because of the stuff with Heroes in Crisis, Barry and Iris do end up breaking up again. They'll get back together, but they do end up breaking up at the end of The Price. And funny enough, quick little story was Joshua Williamson was on one of the live streams with Omar on Near Mid Condition, and I asked Joshua Williamson a question. I asked him, like, why did you break him up so much? And Williamson asked, well, I only did it twice, but basically I did it because it was for me to get something I wanted to happen in the run. He never specified what it was, but basically for some weird reason, this is how weird Dan DiDio DC can be, is that to get something he wanted in the run, he had to break Iris and Barry up. But he got them back together pretty quick. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. He answered my question. Anyway, Flash loses his legs. What? We find out, though, it's just a mental trick. He didn't actually lose his legs. Legs, of course, they weren't sewed off. It was just a mental trick. And one of the things that he does realize, because one of the things that does happen in this run is that even though everyone is happy, one of the things that Barry does realize in this is that for Barry to be more comfortable with some of his powers and to embrace them more, kind of like the way Wally does, is that he has to be a little more happy. Not creepy happy, but just a little more upbeat. I mean, kind of hard to be considering everything that happened with Heroes of Crisis, but he does end up doing that and he overcomes it. Oh, and that's like his parents, because he was gonna like end up like killing his parents. We get into that in the first issue, in his origin issue. But also, one of the other things that does happen is Iron Heights ends up getting blown up by Trickster. He has all these like bombs and ends up getting blown up. Werewolf is furious. He's like, "What?" But anyway, the story does end, though, where Barry meets this mysterious stranger who is named Steadfast. And what he is that he is the master and avatar of the other force. Because, yes, there was more than just the speed and the sage and the psych, the sage and the strength. There was also the still force. And this character shows up and decides, Barry's like, that energy, the still force. I thought only Grodd and the Turtle had the still force. That showed in Scott Snyder's Justice League run. I can't move. You should no longer go forward. You must go back. For the multiverse to survive what is to come, Barry Allen, you must remember something you have forgotten from your past. And this volume ends where we get the prologue into probably one of the coolest stories of the run, The Flash Year One, which we will be talking about in the next issue, in the next episode. So anyway, guys, that's part 2. The next episode, we're going to finish Williamson's run. And yeah, but anyway, of course, like and subscribe, guys. Sorry I got a little angry there during Heroes in Crisis. Can you really blame me? But yeah, we'll talk about more how that story gets retconned, as well as we'll dive into what happened with Wally after the events of Heroes in Crisis next time as we conclude Joshua Williamson's run on The Flash. Anyway, guys, talk to you later. Like, subscribe. See ya.
If you're looking for great deals on collected edition comics or manga, we recommend shopping at panelboundcomics.com. They offer free shipping on orders over $30, plus bundle discounts to help you save even more. And if you're shopping from Europe or the UK, comicsbugle.com offers free EU shipping and a rewards program for regular buyers. Don't forget to use our discount codes at checkout.